Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 13 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. FPL Team is your best one-stop shop for all your future FPL planning. Pete, I hope you're having a good time in Colombia. You're probably in bed sleeping and not watching this. Right, let's take you through information before we get into the questions. I'll try and answer as many of your dilemmas as possible over the next 54 minutes or so ahead of the 11 a.m. UK time Gameweek 13 deadline. Obviously, if there is any leaked news on Man City Liverpool, I'll bring that to you, which will be via other sources, admittedly. Right, I bought Brian Bumo for Kara Mitoma on Wednesday. Two reasons for that. One, budget tight on future plans, potentially wanting to leave myself open for the door for Mo Salah that I probably won't ever actually go through, and also gives me insurance against Jared Bowen missing out today. So I'm lining up Johnston, Cash, Saliba, Udogie, Saka, Bowen, Son, Mitoma, Alvarez, Watkins, Captain Haaland, Bumo, Lascelles, Shimikas in reserve. I know many of you won't agree with some of them selections, but that's what I've gone with. Correct score predictions for all 10 games are on the screen. Also, my captaincy preferences will appear in the same place there. Haaland, Salah, Watkins, Son, Alvarez is my preference of top 5. To the bottom right of the screen, you'll see a rotation of my predicted lineup for all 20 teams. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the ticker for the next 5 fixtures, again for every team. And right below me, you'll see the benching dilemma screen, where there's 2 players together. The player with the tick is the preferred option to start. Outfield players run in order from pages 1 to 4, and you'll see keeper dilemmas on page 5. Right, that's the graphics done and dealt with. If you see your question answered on screen, you can feel free to delete it if you want. Repeat similar questions, maybe skips, like if there's 99 Jared Bowen questions, I'm probably going to answer it once and then skip it, which actually I can just answer now and say don't buy, don't sell. If you own him like me, play him. Right, let's get into the questions. Billy Taylor says, morning Jimbo, how are you? Yeah, very well, mate. No grumbles, thank you very much. JFPL says, hi James, I've got 2 free transfers. Which move do you like best? Mitoma to Bumo and Roll, Mitoma and Archer to Palmer and Solanke, Diaby and Mitoma to Saka and Palmer. Well, as I've gone the Bumo move myself, that's probably the preference. My thinking always during this international break was that people would steam into him next week ahead of the Luton fixture in game week 14. The injury to Mitoma and the rumoured injury to Bowen has meant obviously people like me have obviously gone a little bit early. And I always had an awareness that I might go early anyway for price reasons. So Bumo is the advice. That's what I've gone with, mate. Billy Taylor says also any plans to get in Darwin Núñez next week, assuming no other fires. Well, looking at the flags, although the flags are, it's only Bowen is the concern in terms of what I've got really. If Bowen was to be out for a few weeks, Palmer would be my likely move next week. Will I have the luxury to go Darwin Núñez next week? Probably not. But if I lost any of the 3 forwards, it'd be straight in. That would be my take at the moment. Ian from Melbourne says, hi James, do you think Sanchez is the best way into the Chelsea defence given security of starts when their fixtures change up the Shimperoos? Good luck to you, mate. It's circumstantial, right? So for me with Johnston, their good fixture run ends when Chelsea's exactly starts. So Johnston to Sanchez is a very likely transfer for me in game week 16. And yes, he probably is the only one that you'd have comfort in starting all 3 games, I think, between sort of game week 18 and 20. That doesn't matter so much for me because I'm looking to wildcard, obviously, in game week 19. I think for those looking longer term, yeah, I'd probably want to go there. I spoke to Harry Daniels, obviously FPL Harry. H, if you're doing your deadline stream and watching me, that would be weird, but I hope you're well, mate. And I did ask him last night about Chelsea players and who he thought over that 18-20 period from the outfield players he could say with confidence would start all 3 games. And he gave me the answer I thought he'd give me. No one. FPL Marsh says, good luck for the game week, James, off to Spurs on Sunday. Any food place around the ground that you'd recommend? Yep, chicken, mate. But you need to be there before 12 o'clock. And whether you want fried chicken before lunchtime, I'm not really sure. But that's the recommendation, mate. But honestly, you need to be there 2 hours before kickoff. Even 2 hours before kickoff, you're going to wait 15-20 minutes. Amber Redmond says, we all know he's saying chicken to that. Happy weekend, James. Have a good one. You too, Amber. Bertica says, hey, James, need to bench 1 from Diaby, Alvarez or Archer. Any help appreciated, mate. Yeah, a bench Archer, mate. He's playing for the poor team. Aaron Hill says, morning, James. Can't wait to be back at beautiful downtown Bramall Lane today. Massive game for us. 3 points today and something against Burnley next week. And we could have a shot at survival. You have a shot at survival anyway, mate, despite, let's say, everyone writing you off. Because you're in close proximity and there's every chance the end of this weekend you might be out the bottom three. Subert's blog says, morning, James. Could you please order these defenders to start this week? Lascelles, Taylor, Baldock. Excuse me, they're all on the bench in Dime Elements. And I've gone Taylor, Lascelles, Baldock. But I've predicted Burnley to win today and keep a clean sheet, which is part of the reason for that. And I should acknowledge that most people would disagree with that. So I think, although I've gone Taylor over Lascelles, I'm pretty sure most people would say go Lascelles, I think. Who's next? Philip Sucter says, hi James, thanks for the great content. Which two would you start out of Cash, Shimikas, Branthwaite and Taylor? Cash and Taylor probably for me. I think Shimikas would be last of that. Dragon Josiowski says, hey James, got Cash, Gabriel and Gay in defence. You set up better than most this week. Move Burns to 8 Nori, bench Cash or save and have two free transfers to reassess next week. Cheers. Cash is fine, right? He's going to play. That's near certainty. Gay will play. Gabriel, I'm against Brentford. I know it's after the international break, but I'd be very confident to play. So, unless you've got concerns, I suppose if you have things like Bowen and other players that might be doubts, then you may want to make the change. It's worth remembering that Ray and 8 Nori is on 2 yellow cards. It's also worth saying that if you wait a week, you probably won't be investing in him next week because they go to Arsenal in any case. Probably worth a quick little reminder of some players that are on 4 yellow cards at the moment, just so we can cover that now because I haven't refreshed my own memory for a few days. So players on 4 yellows: Havertz, Dean, Douglas Luiz, Kamara, Norgard, Cucurella, Ayew, Branthwaite, Robinson, Kabore, Nakamba, Rodri, Bruno Fernandes, it's Fernandes apparently, Longstaff, Mangala, Sangari, 8 Nori, Nelson Semedo, João Gomez, Lamina, all on 4 yellow cards. So that if you need 8 Nori for a future week and he gets booked at Arsenal when he's suspended for Burnley at home, that's going to be a bit annoying. So if you feel comfortable that your 11 is getting minutes this week, I'd arguably roll would be more powerful. Avis says, hi James, best Mitoma replacement for the next 6. Boomo not possible within 6.7 budget. I'd probably be inclined to just go early for Palmer. If you're talking across the whole 6. Yeah, I think that's the one. Someone was asking me on Twitter this morning about Brennan Johnson. And I wouldn't mind it, but Richarlison's going to be back before the end of that period. And Manor Solomon might be back before the end of that period as well. Anthony Gordon, I think, offers you an alternative there as well. If it was me, I'd probably just go Palmer early and I'd be using the money for something else would be my take. Noel Brennan says, morning James, too many questions for even you to answer, just wishing you and the family a good weekend. Thank you, Noel. I wish you a very good weekend as well. If you're watching live, guys, smash a like, or even if you're watching on repeat, smash a like. Hugely appreciated. It's less than 10% of you have smashed a like so far. Rexel Jukebox says, hi James, would you keep Darwin if you owned? With good fixtures coming up, or too risky with minutes and better to jump off now? Thanks for your top work. I definitely would not be selling him if I owned him. Definitely not. Ryan says, hi James, not a question, just hope you and the family are well and all good. Thank you, Ryan. Hope you are too. Chim says, Gabriel and Bumo or Saliba and Gordon. Bumo Gameweek 18 blank is no problem as I only have 1 City. Well, I've now got 2 City and Bumo and don't think it's particularly a problem, and I'm heading towards Game Week 18. So, yeah, the Bumo option, mate. Subert's blog says, Adingra or Gordon to start? I would start with Simon Adingra. Almost a certain starter today with that Mitoma news. Lewis Johnson says, hi, James, start 2 of these 4. Cash, Bumo, Palmer, Archer. I, with that, would go Bumo and Archer. JP says no big issues other than still having Gusto and Alvarez. 2 free transfers, 1 million in the bank. Any advice, please? Yeah, Gusto's not particularly doing anything for you. Did he drop in price last night? Or is he still knocking about at 4.2? I suppose it depends when you bought. It's quite relevant as well. I took the money on him, but it looked like it was going to drop a couple of weeks ago, and he still hasn't dropped. But I'd probably move that on. If you've literally got nothing to do, obviously it's not the worst week to invest in, say, George Baldock at 3.8. Don't mind that. Don't burn the transfer. I wouldn't be in a rush to get rid of Alvarez with 2 home games coming up. You can look at it, Liverpool, Tottenham. Yeah, tell you what, it might be very handy for you for 13, 14, 16, 17. I think my decision on Alvarez will be on reflection of what happens today. And also, Darwin Núñez, perhaps, how I feel about him next week, as mentioned. Alexander Isak's possibly going to come into thinking as well. But across the 5, 3 home games, a trip to Luton in there as well. It's only the Villa away game, I'm a bit like, meh. I've also got Watkins, right? So that's a bit meh. So, yeah, I'm not stressed about having Alvarez at the moment. I think it's fine. Jonathan says, James, start Foden or Diaby. That's a Foden for me, mate. JP, Martinez to Leno or Johnson in Sky. It makes no sense to go to Johnson, mate. If you want to go Martinez to Leno on Monday, that's fine. I know he's flagged. I'd be pretty sure that Martinez will play for Villa tomorrow. Avash says, morning, James. Would you recommend bringing in Kudos for Mitoma or just play Martinelli you have on the bench? Just play Martinelli, mate. But you are going to want to move Mitoma on, right? So, again, if you're sitting there with 2 frees, consider Palmer, bank the money, move it on. Kudos, I think, it's a really good option. I'd play Martinelli over Kudos, I think, this week, though. So, if you want to hold Mitoma longer term, we don't think it's bad, right? Many of us saw the video of him looking like he was going to run out for training on Thursday and then originally thought, oh, shit, he's back fit. So I'd maybe give yourself some time there rather than making the move. Noel Power says, 2 quick ones. Who do you think takes the pens for Wolves? It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. My best guess would probably be Matthias Cunha, but I don't know. I have to be very honest now. I don't tag Bradley or at all. If you're watching live, tag Niall and put the answer in the question, mate, in terms of who you think. JP says, thoughts on Wood on Sky and FPL. Sky is a definite no-go. FPL I don't mind because it's an enabler and you can obviously bench it or whatever, depending on how you feel. They've got a good run of fixtures up till the blanking and including the blanking game week 18. I wouldn't be that confident in him starting all the games though. Divock Origi's also back fit. So FPL, sure, if people want to go that and it enables something else. Sky, no consideration. Steve says, hi James, start Darwin or Ward-Prowse. Thanks, Darwin Núñez, mate. I wouldn't want to leave that fella out in any game. Callum Watkins says, who would you rather start, Diaby or Palmer? Keep up the good work. Love the channel. That's a clear Diaby for me, mate. FPL Gold Galazzo. Good morning, James, aka FPL Top Advisor. Have a smashing game week and smash the like button, you mags. Cheers, pal. Have a good one. Triple Trapped in says, morning, James. I've got Anthony Robinson and Levi Colwell in my team, who are mostly on my bench, but will need them to play some weeks. Can I rely on them for minutes, or should I move on? May mean a -4. Take the information of this weekend. I've got both predicted to start this week, so I certainly wouldn't be taking -4s to remove. Kene Tete is looming for Anthony Robinson, but he also looms for Timothy Castagne, who I found out the reason why everyone was asking about him yesterday. And Colwell, I think, may play at centre-back today for Chelsea. And I think you'd be gutted to sell Colwell if he gets back in the team. You're like, oh, look at them fixtures. Brilliant. So I think give yourself some space. You don't want to be selling for a -4. Francis Logan says, absolute disaster for me last week. Bruno Fernandes captain. I presume that's Bruno Fernandes captain rather than a suspended Bruno Guimaraes. -4 for Elise for Gordon this weekend. Can't see that. I don't even have Michael Elise in my predicted Palace lineup. I know people have used the narrative of, oh, Eze was a sub at Burnley, then started. Oh, Elise was a sub against Everton, now he'll start. Remember, Michael Elise have no pre-season. That's a big difference. So it's not to say he won't start today, but I would not be buying him, and I certainly wouldn't be buying him for a -4. Pip says, yo, James, hope you're well. 2 free transfers. Burn to Saliba and cash to a Palace defender, question. Or roll one transfer and play to a Porro, Shimikas and Taylor. Porro, fine this week. She had an interesting conversation with one of our patrons, Callum Mates, last night, and said that Porro was probably his ideal solution to a problem he had, actually. Taylor's not a terrible one to pick this week, I don't think. You don't want to look at Shimmick as a way to manage City. To be honest, what I'd say is I'd play Cash over Taylor and Shimmick. So my take on that would be Burn to Saliba, sure, and I would play Saliba, Cash and Porro, which is nearly the back three that I'm going with this week. Matt Stacey says Jota to Eze or Bumo or hold. Jota, I'd probably be inclined to move on. I don't think he's part of the ideal Liverpool 11, but we'll obviously see minutes over this busy period. But yeah, I'd probably move on. I think it depends, right? Do you want short-term gain or do you want a bit of a longer-term gain? So Bumo goes in, he's a hold basically till Gameweek 21 when he goes to AFCON. I think you may be wildcard in 19, in which case obviously he's hold it to Gameweek 18. Eze, next three, great, but then you might want to move that on to maybe a Chelsea player. So probably just dependent on your plan, right? You want short-term gain or long-term gain? My choice was to look at the longer term with Bumo. Daniel Cullerton says, would you start Hwang or Ferguson, mate? I don't have Ferguson in my predicted Brighton lineup this week, but then I'm always pissing in the wind with Brighton, and it's the predicted lineup I get wrong the most often. I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels that, and Brighton fans probably feel that as well. I think if I had Ferguson, though, I'd play him over Hwang. Yeah, I think so. Alan Holohan says Alvarez to Solanke or Roll. Roll, personally. Just a dad posting stuff. Son Haaland. Can't commit to captain this week. Currently going with Son. Try not to be dull, but sometimes dull is best. I wish you luck if you go Sonny, and I hope you win the game week. Dave Lister says, morning, James. Good morning, Dave. Demetrius G says, Mitoma to Eze, 1 week punt before bringing in Bumo next game week for a -4, or go straight to Bumo this game week. I think Eze could outscore Bumo by 4 points this game week, so could be worth it, and it's the fun play. So you need Eze to outscore Bumo this week by more than the 4 points. So you need Eze to score and Bumo not to get an attack in return. I think the more sensible play there is honestly just to go straight to Bumo, mate. I get it. I get what you're saying about the fun play. And if you have huge confidence in it, sure, crack on, go for it. But nah, I mean, look, Bumo on pens, talisman, they could get beat 4-1 and he scores, right? Like, it's a no for me. I would just go straight to him. Daniel Cullerton says, I'm a Liverpool fan. Shall I go against Haaland? Captain seems mad. Captain someone you're praying blanks. Look, you're asking the wrong person, right? Because the game week starts and I'm completely removed from the returns. I have my Tottenham hat on, right? So if Haaland, suddenly the team drops and he's not in it, or he doesn't play this weekend or really is injured, I'm landing Volley Watkins captain tomorrow against Tottenham and it won't be on my mind. So you're a Liverpool fan, right? You want Liverpool to do well, right? But is Haaland the right choice? That's it. It's just a choice, right? And if Haaland blanks, then do you know what? Many of the rest of us blank with you, right? If he returns and goes off, many of us return well with you, right? So I just remove the emotion from it. What's the right choice? Is he the right choice? If yes, do it. If not, no. I'll be captain Haaland against Tottenham next week. And it won't be on my mind, right? Just that's the best choice next week for me. Gavin Richardson says, morning, James. I have an alternative for the word consciousness for you. How does cognizant feel? I'm not good at pronouncing words with Z's in, but I appreciate the suggestion. Perlo's Pen said, good morning, sir. Would you do Dallo to Gabriel so I can bench Cash or roll? Look, I think there's every chance United will get beat tomorrow. Would I stress to move that? I mean, the fact that you're saying so I can bench Cash, it's not great. Here's the reason why I'm picking Cash and Udogie this week for me. So, I think most of us think there'll be goals in the Tottenham Villa game, right? I think Villa, for me, are favourites to win the game, and I've predicted them to do so. But I think this week is such a shit show for defensive assets that I'll just want to pick the offensive players, and that's it. And I know it's conflicting, like I've got Watkins and Son as well, but that's the route I've taken. I think with Lascelles, if he gets a clean sheet, great, it's probably 6 points. Tottenham and Villa could be 2-2 and one of them might score. and oust the returns from elsewhere. So that's the route I've taken this week. I mean, look, I'm predicting this week's such a shit show. I predicted clean sheets for Burnley and Brighton, and neither of them have kept a clean sheet all season. The only other team I've predicted for a clean sheet is Crystal Palace at Luton. So I think the advice for most people this week, even though there's confliction in that, is I think pick your offensive players that you think can get you your defensive players, that can get you attacking returns this week, rather than the shit boring ones. That's how I feel about it. So if I had Charlie Taylor sitting on the bench, I think I'd still pick Cash and Udogie over him, and the benching dilemmas very much reflects that, right? MRCX says, so the answer, Pello, is I wouldn't do it. Don't bother. Unless you, like, if you want the Arsenal player for the next 3, fine. That's cool, going Dalot to Gabriel. I think that's fine. But if you're doing it to bench Cash, like, I'd just remove that. Do you want to move Dalot to Gabriel? Fine. Okay, go. MRCX says, which transfer to go for? Mitoma to Eze, Mitoma to Bumo, Mitoma to Kudos, or Bowen to Saka? Wouldn't be selling Bowen. Like, just keep at the moment. So, look, I've gone Mitoma to Bumo. That's the same advice. FPL Soccer Crazy says, morning to the best knowledgeable football correspondent. No questions. Have a great day. Thank you. Nikki Kassam says, best defender 4.5 or below for the next few weeks. What's few? Is that 3 weeks? Is it more, Nikki? Is it 5 weeks? If you don't have Areola, I don't think someone like Emerson, who's gone past his suspension, I think is a reasonable shout from that perspective. You haven't, obviously, it's not cheap enough for an Arsenal asset. It's not cheap enough for a Palace asset. Here's a rogue one for you that I suggested to some of our patrons last night. Is Niakate of Nottingham Forest. It's a really, really rogue one. They're over the next 6 is not terrible. I think if you've not got, I can understand you wouldn't want double West Ham defence. If you've not got Areola, then I think West Ham defender, personally. Emmanuel Topo says, bench one of Alvarez, Nunes, Bumo, Diaby. That'd be Bumo for me, mate. Wally says, Sun captain through a spanner in the works. If you want to captain Sonny, fine. I've already said my opinion on it enough over the last 2 weeks in terms of why I don't think. I'm just going to say why I don't think that's the right choice. That's not fair. Why I'm not doing it is probably a better way. But I know there's plenty of you that do want to captain Sonny this week. Go for it. Go for it, sure. It's not like Tottenham's missing their whole midfield and their whole defence through the spine. Listen, the most important thing for Sonny tomorrow is that Giovanni Lo Celso plays. And if any of you can tell me with certainty that Giovanni Lo Celso plays tomorrow, good luck. Cole says, defence is Walker, Trippier, Cash, Shimikas, Burn. Also have Mitoma and Bowen potentially missed. Take a hit to get Burn out. Semenyo also in 11 as of now. Semenyo would expect to play, and that's certainly reasonable starting that this week. Walker, Trippier, Cash as a back three is fine. You need to deal with the Burn problem, I would say. But I'm not sure I'd be taking a hit for it. You do want some insurance. I think if you're going to take a hit, bin out Mitoma, right, and go for Bumo or Eze or something like that. That feels better if you're going to do that rather than a hit for a defender. Walker, Trippier, Cash is fine. Trust me, I can't stress this enough. If you're looking at your team this week and thinking it looks like a shit show, everyone else, most of other people are thinking exactly the same thing. They're going, don't like my team this week. So we're all in it together. Let's just get through it. Sarah Ansell says, hi James, Martinelli or Alvarez plays. Start? Alvarez, City home game. Ben Keane says, hi James, what do you think of the chance that João Pedro starts? 55% if you want a number, mate. That's what I'm going with. Darwin Núñez apparently, thanks Matt for that, is starting. It's not going to surprise anyone. That's according to Oscar FPL Focal. Again, I'm getting this from secondary information, and Anfield Talk saying the same. Patrons, obviously, if we have got anything on City Liverpool that's from trusted sources, let us know and I can share it with the guys here on the stream. Ben Keane says that's what we've done. Dave Lister says, is it time to get rid of Son? Is Martinelli a good pick? Like, I don't think you're selling Son this week. This is a debate let's have next week. As much as I'm not big on captaining him this week, I wouldn't sell him. I don't think there's anything good enough this week to think, sell Heung-min Son this week. Like, if you were flipping something that enabled something else, I don't know, if you wanted to sell him to Eze and it allowed you a 4.5 forward into, I don't know, Nunes level. Even still, it doesn't feel like the right week. It's a move for next week, I think. MRCX is any news on whether Jota starts yet? No, not anything, but obviously with Nunes, it's going to come down to a straight choice, isn't it, between Jota and Diaz. My feeling is that Diaz will get a nod on that. Aidan says, hi James, Sky question, would you keep Paulinho or sell? Thinking Rice, 35 transfers left. No, I don't think I'd bother, personally. I think I'd probably leave that be. I think. Demetrius G says, start Cash or Udogie. I think Villa might be favourites if Spurs have a spine of Dyer, Davis, Skip, Højbjerg, Lo Celso, Bentancur. I don't think Skip will start. It's going to be, to be honest with you, if it's Højbjerg, Skip, it's going to be a pretty grim day for us. So, yeah, to be honest, Cash, I think a little bit more likely offensively than Udogie. And if you think Villa are favourites in your opinion, then I think you're answering your own question, to be honest. Mike Hall says, is Brennan Johnson worth a punt? As covered, like, I don't mind it. Timing doesn't feel great. Villa, City next. I think the run from game week 15 for a long period is good, but we're expecting Richarlison back around abouts then. I do think Johnson has favouritism over him. And Manor Solomon also we think is going to be back around abouts then as well, fingers crossed. So you are looking at him as kind of a 65, 70 minute man, even if he stays in the team. Longer term, who knows, he might even end up playing number 9 during the January period, for example. I think it just needs monitoring a little bit more, would be my take. It is exactly what you describe it as, Mike. It's a punt, currently. If you want to punt it, I don't hate it. Like, it's a good price, 5.8. It really is a good price with potential. I'd want to monitor it a little bit more first, I think. Emmanuel Topo says, question series, what will James give up for Sir's Premier League title? 100,000 subscribers. Emmanuel, I don't think you know me well enough, mate. Like, what will I give up for Tottenham to win the league? My job. Never mind the subscriber numbers. Like, my job. Unemployment. I'll go it alone and start again. Start doing Football Manager content or something, right? Well, maybe even continue FPL content. I mean, like, what would I rather have? 100,000 subscribers or Tottenham win the league? Let me think about that. It's really tough. LP says, hi James, bench of Nketiah, Shimikas and Taylor for if Bowen doesn't turn up. Thoughts on Nketiah to Semenyo for first sub or role? Would be 8 for Taka, rarely starting. I don't mind that. Give you a little bit more insurance. I think, look, he's going to get plenty of minutes, and as you say, you're not going to start him regularly, and it gives you nice insurance for this week while you gain more information on Jared Bowen. So yeah, I don't mind that Semenyo move. And then Shimikas is more interesting for you over the next 3. And who knows, and Nketiah might be as well. Gavin Richardson says, although you'll be selling him obviously in that case. Gavin Richardson says, how much are you keeping an eye on Kunku? Also, I've somehow fallen into a tactic of banking funds, chasing profits. Is this a known tactic for the first half of the season? And Kunku, yeah, absolutely got our eye on, right? I think most of us were hoping he'd probably, from a fantasy perspective, hoping he'd be in the squad for Chelsea this week. That's not going to be the case. So I think we're easing him in, and we're probably looking at maybe Sheffield United 17 as the first start, maybe as it stands. I think there's no reason for them to go mad with him as long as, you know, Jackson's fit, Sterling's fit, Palmer's fit, etc. On banking funds, I presume you're referring to making early transfers. I think my take is very much first half of the season, gamble the early transfers a little bit more. Once we get into the last 3 months of the season, the information becomes way more important. But the moving early on transfers will help with the bit more patience later in the season. In terms of like banking funds, i.e., I don't know what you mean by that in terms of if you're sitting there with millions in the bank. Like, nah, spend it unless you've got part of a longer term plan and you know your future transfers. Josh Obby says, sorry if you've answered. Do you know anything about Ben White? No, so well, I only know what the rest of us know. Mikel Arteta said yesterday that he trained alone on Thursday, and if he would train with the team yesterday, then he would be in the squad today. I don't have him in the predicted Arsenal lineup because I would think if he's trained alone on Thursday, that means there's a good 2-week period that he's not trained with the team. So I'm not convinced that they'd risk him today. If I owned him, I wouldn't sell him though. At this moment, I'd keep hold. Jack Tasker says selling is stupid next week. Who to buy will have around 7 million. Top of the shops there for Kieran Trippier if you can get there. Otherwise, it might sound ridiculous, but Pedro Porro, I think long term is a really good shout. Still, you might have a couple of weeks of pain, but Estupiñán's got to go. Investing in Liverpool this week doesn't feel right. Arsenal, if you've got none, is the obvious one to say. Saliba, Gabriel. I think consider the double defensive, but also consider that you might not want to look at double defensive when you look at Arsenal 16 to 18. But it might give you some breathing space. So I think Arsenal's possibly the right call. Pranav says use 2 free transfers this week. I'm not going to read your whole team, mate. Sorry, I'm not reading your whole team, but I wish you the very best of luck, mate. It's just by the time I've read, what you got to think is once I've read out all these names, I've forgotten half of them, so I can't really advise. Richard Borgren says worth gambling on Bowen, Shimikas on bench, and save the transfer. I should have go for Bumo. Again, I think with Bowen, it's don't buy, don't sell. If you own him, start. Shimikas's first sub doesn't necessarily feel ideal this week, and I think there's a good chance Joe Gomez may play in any case. But then, to be honest, whether Shimikas starts or came on as a sub is probably one pointer-ish either way, I would imagine. So yeah, look, if you've got Bowen, my instinct is I think he'll probably play. I have no intel on that. I just have an instinct that they'll risk him personally. So I would be playing him. Tom Parkinson says, hey James, thanks for the content. You're very welcome. Would you start Louise away at Spurs or Sterling away at Newcastle? I think you'd go Sterling, wouldn't you? I think. Close. And it's interesting. I like that because it's mentioning players that aren't on the bench in dilemmas. I think Sterling. I think just about most of Louise's returns are at home. I do acknowledge he scored in the corresponding fixture last season as well. I think Sterling just about. Ronald Wazzy says, great job, James. Why do you feel West Ham will lose to Burnley? I think Burnley will have a lot of the ball. And it's just whether they can take advantage of their moments. West Ham are just sloppy as well. Any West Ham fan will tell you that, right? Sloppy. I think like if Bowen does play, then obviously increases West Ham's chances of getting a result. I just have an inkling that Burnley might turn them over today, actually. I realise most of you will disagree with that prediction, but you know me, if I have a feeling for something, I won't just rock up with the boring prediction. I'm tipping Burnley to win today. I'm tipping Sheffield United to win today. Harun says, apparently Sheffield United have under 21 player called Miski, who looks like a real talent coming through. Might get first team call up in upcoming weeks and months. Keep an eye out, midfielder. If he was that talented, I can't believe we wouldn't have seen him in August when they had no players. That's all I'd say in response to that. ZMaxR7 says, need a replacement for Mitoma, not feeling Bumo unlike everyone else. Is Kudos a good pick? Who would you recommend under 7.6? Yeah, I don't mind if people have got a strong opinion for Kudos. I don't mind it. It's possibly an influence that I'm sitting there with Bowen. I think, do I want to go another West Ham? Probably not. But I don't mind. Yeah, if you've got a feeling for Kudos, I think he's absolutely fine. Luke Wilson says, morning James, do you think Turner's lost the goalkeeper shirt for good now? I wouldn't say for good, but until Vlachodimos does something wrong, I think he'll stay in the team. Let's put it that way. Janega77 says, set on Ollie Watkins captain, but selling him next week. That's mad. When you sit down and you think about that, it's mad, isn't it? I'm going to captain him away to Tottenham, but I'm going to sell him before Bournemouth. I get it, though. Hope Isak looks sharp this week. Based on stats, he should be the one if nailed and Wilson injured. I don't know if I'd want to rush that. Consider with Isak as well. I've spoken about this a few times. They play at Everton on Gameweek 15 on a Thursday, 3 days before Tottenham away in Gameweek 16. Does he play both? Does he get saved for Tottenham away and not play at Everton? I think I would like Isak for game week 18, but then my thought process on that would be he needs to wait. He needs to wait a little bit longer. So I think, for example, I think Watkins to Isak next week is probably unlikely for me. Mind you, if he has a good week this week, and Manchester United take a slap in tomorrow, I might feel differently about that myself. Mr. Darren James House says, morning James, start Darwin or Archer. That's straightforward, mate. Darwin Núñez. MRCX says, would you bring in Saka for Martinelli? Excuse me, or roll? I'd roll, mate. Michael Tottle says, hi James, just signed up as a patron. Thank you very much, Michael. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Do it because you want to support the show and free content such as this, or if you want additional content. By the way, it reminds me, in December, all our basic plus tier patrons will have access to every podcast in December, and our intermediate plus tier patrons will have access to all the advanced tier content during the month of December as well. So there's a good incentive to sign up to Patreon now, www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Michael's question is, who would you bench out of Gordon, Archer or Diaby? Keep up the great content. I would bench Gordon, my friend. Penguin says, hi mate from Colombia. Would you start Ferguson over any of Son, Saka, Palmer, Salah, Watkins or Haaland? I would probably chance it over Palmer. That'd be the only one. Uros Milicevic says, hi James, who would you start in draft between Martinez, Ederson and Darwin? Ferguson, I would go Martinez and Darwin Núñez, mate. CR7 is not the GOAT, but fair enough. Darwin Núñez. Aaron Hill says, do you think Saka can outscore Trippier from game week 14 to 16 by 4 points? I have to sell one next week to get Salah back. You don't have to. I wouldn't want to sell either if I was particularly on. This is the really interesting thing with Trippier. I keep saying this. He's like, those on are thinking of selling. So like, I need to find some money. And those on have a constant cognizant that they maybe want to buy him. So I don't like that. And selling Saka for Wolves and Luton just feels wrong. So I suppose by default the answer is Trippier, but I don't like it. Emmanuel Topo says, start the Sells or Taylor. I'm going to go for Charlie Taylor, much to everyone's shock. Toby Evanson says, morning James, good luck for the week. I've got 2 free transfers, 0.1 in the bank. Unless I sell Sonny, no team dramas. So do I swap Turner for a cheaper keeper or Kabori down to Bulldog? Yeah, Kabori, Bulldog, mate. Yeah, it gives you a little bit more. Sneeko says, hey James, start Alvarez or Palmer? Alvarez. Hussein Ali says, hi James, Maguire for Taylor. Nope. Or keep Maguire. Oh, hang on, that doesn't make sense. So, if you've got Maguire, you probably play him this week, right? Would I move Maguire to Taylor? No. Thank you, Dread FPL. Very kind of you, mate. J. Broski says, alright, bro. Hope you're well. Started well and then really went off tangent, mate. Went to sells over Shimikas last game and also doing the same this week. Am I wrong again? No, this week that's a more straightforward call, isn't it? Cosmos says, morning James, no questions this week. Hope you have a great weekend. Thank you, mate. You too. Anguilla, keep Mitoma. I think it's probably a sell personally, but we can expect him back next week. But it's just becoming a pain in the arse, isn't it? The thing is, he could play in Europe on Thursday and then not play at Chelsea next week. That's how it is, right? Vishnu says, hi James, which two shall I start of Bumo, Palmer and Archer? I'd leave out Palmer from that. Yeah, I'd keep Bowen, mate. Kof Kun says, hi James, don't have Haaland, so who do I captain? Son, Salah or Watkins? Genuinely been consistent about this for all of the last 2 weeks. I think Haaland and Salah, as per on the screen, are the 2 best options. Srirana says, hey James, do I start on Ketcher considering Jesus played 96 in Brazil on Wednesday, or just start Charlie Taylor? I think Jesus will play, if that answers your question. And I think even if Jesus doesn't play, there's every chance Trossard would stay through the middle instead of Nketiah. News has been a bit thin on the ground on Nketiah. He also hasn't scored away from home for about a year in the Premier League. I'd probably play Taylor. Don't love it though. Srirana says, have McAtee at home to Bournemouth as an option as well. I haven't got him in my predicted lineup either. Obviously, McBurney and Ahmed Hodzic back for Sheffield United this week. That might cause a little bit of a shuffle, and McAtee might be, I might have that wrong, he might be the odd man out. If they go to a back four, then he'll play. If they go to a back 5/3 again, then with McBurney back in, again, he might be the odd one out. Patrons, a reminder, if we've got any City Liverpool news, please do share. And I'll get it shared with the channel. Check sources, please, though, guys. Owen Jones says top 5 point scores for Gameweek 14. I asked, I'm thinking of rolling the transfer today. Haaland, Salah, Watkins, Son, Alvarez. Jacko says start Bayer or Darwin Núñez, mate. Do we sit here and do we think, I think City Liverpool's going to be 0-0, and I don't think Núñez can score, actually. Play Núñez, mate. Ryan Walker says currently playing both Cash and Maguire over Udogie. That's fine. Moving to Pinnock next week. That's also fine. Just have an awareness of Game Week 18. Andrew Sands says, hi, handsome. Strange individual. With Wilson out and Isak having a sketchy injury record, should Gordon and Barnes, when fit, still be on our radar? Gordon, certainly. Barnes, Eddie Howe sort of alluded to, not that we should trust his words, probably looking at a roundabouts Game Week 16 away to Tottenham. So whether he's in a condition to start by Game Week 17-18 with a Carabao Cup tie in between those two fixtures, well, questionable. But Gordon should certainly be on radar, yeah. John Keats has got 2 free transfers. Archer to Chris Wood. No, I wouldn't be doing that this week. The Football Tourist says, really want a Forest defender for my rotation, but can't work out who to buy. Any recommendations? Aina looks the next fun and won't need after 18. I think Niakate is your safest one, personally. I think there's enough combinations / rotations / fears in the fullback areas. Also consider that as Forest runs a little bit lighter, we might see more of a back 4. I don't think that's helpful either. I think Niakate is the safest of those if you want to go there. Also, however, you should possibly ask yourself why you really want a Forest defender. I admittedly have them and Burnley top of my fixture ticker over the next 6. But, I've just lost their talisman as well. Rowan Balani says, hi James, love the show, hope you're well. I need to start 2-3 between Bowen, Palmer and Archer. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, mate. I would play Archer this week. Bowen, I've already been clear on. Vishnu says, I've just done cash to Pinnock to free money and benched. And gotten Bumo for Mitoma. What do you think, James? Great, mate. Good luck. Awesome 6971. Hey, James, who to bench from Gordon and Archer? It's Gordon, mate. Vishnu says, talking of Spurs defence and midfield troubles, is Watkins the way to captain? I've covered this. I'm skipping. Thank you for the question. SWJ says, Bowen captain are too risky. If not, then Boomer. Look, I haven't even put Bowen on the top 10. It's too risky. It's too risky in the sense, I think personally, he either plays or doesn't. But he could be a sub. And they could use him if they need him. He's not worth it. It's West Ham and they're away. It's not worth it. I know he scored in every away game. There's no need. There's no need to do it. Tropical says, thinking of playing Archer and going Mitoma to Palmer next week instead of going for Boomer today, since I plan to dead end at 18. You've gone Boomer. How many more points will he get in that period? Well, across them 4 fixtures, I think that's great. Luton, Brighton, Sheffield United, Villa. How many points did he get over that period? To be honest, I think he'll average an attacking return per game, so plus 20. At a minimum, I think. Dish Jordan in my head. What about Cunha this week? Rotates well with Diaby in 15-16. Don't hate it. Does he though? Yeah, he's 2 good fixtures. Burnley, Forest at home. Yeah, don't hate it. Probably should stay in the team. Consider Bellegarde as a really rogue alternative to that. Obviously, I know he's a midfielder rather than a forward. Yeah, I don't hate that if that's part of your plan. But I'd also bear in mind with Diaby and those 15-16 fixtures, they are at home, right? Home record's amazing. So, Sweet Blue says, Football Manager content, I'd pay for that. Leave the FPL business low. Me and Clayton were talking about this the other day. He said, would you consider it? I was like, I've got no time now. The thing is, you can't just whack on Football Manager for half hour, but Yeah, do you know what? If Suj ever said that that's it, it's over, no more, go your own way, I'd consider it, I think. Yeah, I think I would consider it. Russell Baker said, I would give my job for Palace to win a cup, let alone the league. Yeah, to be honest, same. To be honest, going back to that original question, give me the League Cup rather than the 100,000 subscribers. Same thing. Zenith Data Systems Cup doesn't count, but it is the games Liverpool v Palace FA Cup semi-final. Remember, absolutely that. I talk about Ajax a lot, right? There was no trophy, but your memories mean a lot, mate. Kevin Adams Holmes says, worth a punt on Hwang captain, not Kane. Not keen at all, to be honest. I've spoken for weeks about concerns, not concerns, but understanding the impact of no Neto on him. So no. Blue Bud 84 says start Bowen or Alvarez. That's interesting. I'll give you the honest answer to that and tell you truthfully what my opinion is. Start both and bench something else. And I think that's the right answer. Chris Henry says, hi James, the Blades goal scoring centre-back Army Hodzic is fit again. Should also help to stiffen up the defence. Is this a fool's move chasing attacking returns if they can't keep clean sheets? I wouldn't buy him, mate. Wouldn't buy him. Emmanuel Topo says, question series, what will James give up for Spurs Premier League title? Drum roll. Spurs ticket for life. I generally know your picks, but it's fun trying to keep guessing this. Giving up going would be tough. Yeah. Because then I'm not experiencing it in the same way. But for the title, yeah, I probably would. Yeah, I would sacrifice myself. Joel 17 Waters says, risk Bowen starting or Palmer. Just play Bowen, mate. Simon Whittam says, hi James, Darwin or Watkins. Watkins on that, but again, I'd play both. Gabriel Quadrella says, start Bumo or Darwin. D190 says, start Ayew or Shimikas. Love that. It's Ayew, isn't it, with that fixture. Andrew Sands thinks everyone not liking the stream is shameful. Smash a like, please, everyone. Tom Boughton says, morning, James. Start Vardy or Doggy if I'm already starting Porro. I'll go for it with the Tottenham boys. Again, go for the offensive, guys, right? Are we expectations on the City clean sheet this week? You got an offensive player. Go with the offensive player. You'll enjoy it more. Roy McLaughlin Dow says, defo start Ayew, for fuck's sake. That's my Palace correspondent. Thank you, Nina. I've obviously got that information, but I appreciate it, mate. Thank you. Patrons, again, if we've got anything City Liverpool, please get it shared. Tag on Slack would be very, very useful for me. I should probably check my Twitter DM, shouldn't I? But that's not where I like to check patrons. It's Slack generally. We are circa 7 minutes from deadline, guys, so do make sure you're getting your teams locked in. Let's just check if we've got any messages. Lee Jackson, that's disgusting. No, nothing, actually. Very surprisingly so far on City Liverpool. Tags on Slack, please, patron, if we've got anything. Jagos B says, Matoma and Cash for Eze and Reece James. Nah, I wouldn't want to be gambling Reece James this early, I don't think. Alejandro Limon says, good morning, James. Smash a like, everyone. If you had both, who are you captain, Salah or Haaland? Top captaincy picks from the screen, mate. It's the Norwegian. Jacko says, any leaks on City Liverpool? No, but if I hear anything, I will share it. Hussein Ali says, starts Shimikas or Maguire. Maguire. Soccer TV says, keep Bowen as he has a 50% chance of playing. Where's my brick wall? Doesn't mind if I just headbutt it. Yep, play Bowen, mate. Cheers, thanks for the question. Michael O'Hare says, hi James, Cash or Antoine Semenyo to play? I have Son and always not keen on having attack and defence in the same game. Much love, come new Spurs. I'd play Semenyo under that circumstance. Yeah, Nim Joe says, hi James, always love the content. Thoughts on the following transfers? Mitoma to Kudus, fine. Luis to Palmer, fine. Cash to Saliba or Gabriel, yeah, thumbs up. Have 2 free transfers, exact money. Have taken a -4 for all 3. 1 and 3. 1 and 3. John Lloyd says, hi James, start Diaz or Lascelles. Diaz. For the same reasons I've been giving all day, offensive stuff. Yeah, he's a threat from set plays and stuff, isn't he? MRCX says, good luck everyone and cheers for the stream, James. Thank you very much. Emmanuel Topo, what will James give up for the Spurs Premier League title? If it took Arsenal winning for 5 years straight, if you had to win next, yep, take it. Okay. Thank you, Sweet Blues. Thank you, Con. Confirmation that Erling Haaland starts for Manchester City, which should come as no shock to everybody because he told everybody himself. He said, see you tomorrow. So didn't think he was blagging and getting everyone's hopes up for no reason. Just as GP types, no City news probably means Haaland out. No, Haaland's starting. It's FPL Raptor, by the way, has shared that Haaland starts. It's no surprise, is it? Tom Jansen says Mitoma to Palmer or Eze. Again, as I said to someone earlier, you're looking for short-term gain or long-term gain. Palmer over the longer term, but you could go Eze for 3 game weeks and then Palmer. It's probably dependent on how your team is shaping up, right? If you're looking at your squad going, I love my team, it looks brilliant, then sure, I would go Eze for 3 weeks and then Palmer. Onion Heart 1 says, morning James, start Cash or Livramento. That I'd probably go Tino Livramento. Remember, Lewis Hall's ineligible, so should play. GP says, great timing as always. That's correct. We are circa 3 minutes or so to deadline, guys. That's all your questions covered off. So if you've got any last minute, throw them in and I'll rattle through them. Matty R, I'm not keen on capital letters, mate. I'll either see your question or I won't. The answer's Alvarez. Smash a like, people. It's nice, calm before the deadline. Simon Allen says, hey James, would you bet Louise or Bowen? Play Bowen. Emmanuel Topo, what would James give up for the Spurs title? You need to become an Arsenal fan. No, that's not happening. There are certain levels, and that's not something that's happening, mate. That would be completely contradictory. Right? Go and support them and then Tottenham win it, and it doesn't really work, does it? Lewis Johnson says Sky FF Mitoma replacement. Tough. Mitoma replacement. At that value, 8 million under. Palmer's the obvious one. If not, punt like a Huang maybe for the 3 games and then move it on to something else. Sicilian FPL says Pingo or Postman Pat. You're very welcome, Matty. No problem. Relic returns. Gordon to Eze for a punt. No, I'd be keeping. Pat Booth, Billing or Shimikas? Thanks, play Billing. Leon says start Boomer or Alvarez. Avis says play Archer over Palmer. Yes. Sweet Blue says, do you think Diaz gets back to regular starts for Liverpool? Rolling this week, but feels like an easy swap to Boomer in 14. Yes, I do think he'll get back to regular starts. But I understand the reason for moving despite Liverpool's good fixtures. Rags326, is any chance of Emerson starting right back, Kulusevski 8 and Porro right wing? Yes, there is a chance. No, I don't think it will happen. MRCX says best Shimikas replacement for 5 million or below. Oh God, we've been over these, haven't they? It's primarily shit, isn't it? Destiny Udogi, there you go, that will shock you. Daniel Langsit says on-field question, Bowen or Douglas Luiz and Mikalenka? Bowen. LP Powell, Torres or Taylor to start? Go Taylor. Emmanuel says, thanks James, really fun these streams, man, really love your content, getting the patron, cheers man, love you lots. Joseph Robinson says, James, late warning to Man United fans going to Goodison, wear your woolies, it's minus 10 over there. I have heard it's going to be cold this weekend. Divish says, important week for top of the table clashes with City, Liverpool, Tottenham v Villa. Arsenal probably won't be able to take advantage of this as Brentford seem a tough game. Thanks for sharing your opinion. Sicilian FPL says, what do you think happens to Tony? Does he move or stay? If he moves, who do you reckon? I think Ivan Toney will become an Arsenal player. I don't know whether that will be January or the summer, but that's my take. I would think the summer is possibly slightly more likely. Sweet Blues says, FPL newsletter says, Alvarez bench, probably too late now. Woo! That is lastminute.com, isn't it? That is lastminute.com. It's a bought Boomo, and it is deadline. It is gone, guys. God, that's really lastminute.com. Newsletter's reliable, right? So if they're saying that, then Alvarez will indeed be a substitute, and therefore, for me, that might be the trigger to say, let's have a look at Darwin Núñez next week. Gavin Richardson says, do you serve Yorkshire puddings with your Xmas dinner? I don't, because if I made it, it'd be burnt to fuck, mate. But yeah, of course you got to have it. Right, if we've got any non-FPL questions, guys, smash them in. It's something for me to think about for Sky there, possibly. If Alvarez is benched, I'll have to give that some thought, which I'm not going to do at this minute in time. If anyone's got any non-FPL questions, smash them in the chat. I'll get them covered over the next 15 minutes or so. If you came just for the FPL, smash a like on your way out. Have a great weekend. Good luck. May your arrows be green. Next week's content, Suj will be back with me for the game review on Monday. We've got 2 Clash of Correspondence for you next week. Tuesday is Nottingham Forest versus Everton with Mark Southerns and Sean Norton. Thursday is West Ham United versus Crystal Palace with Chris Stone and Roy McLaughlin-Dowd. Wednesday will be the Sky Fantasy Football Podcast. I'll be doing Ask James at some point on Friday. Our Patreon podcast next week, if you want to support the show. And 2 of them will be available to Basic Plus tier. 1 between Monday and Thursday. And definitely our differential show, Gameweek 14 preview on Friday. Monday be Q&A. Tuesday be UCL Fantasy preview. Wednesday Tottenham. Thursday James Johnson is joining me for Money in Football on Internazionale. That's how Jamie Carragher would try and maybe say it. Inter Milan to the rest of us. If you want to support the show, www.patreon.com/planetfpl. As I said, during December, Basic Plus tier patrons will have access to all the intermediate tier content, and intermediate plus tier patrons will have access to all the advanced tier content. Advanced tiers, as written last night, I'll think of something. There'll be more. I'll have a think. Right, let's get into your questions. Avis says, in fact, no, there's one more that I've missed out there. Alex Dawson says, all right, James, it's going to be 3 degrees today and out to the match. Big coat or jacket all the way. So, depends, right? Which one's warmer? I mean, you say big coat and jacket, it could be the same, right? My interpretation of that. So, whichever one's warmer, pal. Avis says, confession, I always hope that Spurs does not play the first fixture in the game so that you're there for the deadline stream. Yeah, I don't know if I'm probably not going to be able to go to Nottingham Forest. I'm going to Man City next week, currently. There's no trains. And Ricky, if you're watching the stream, we've got more bad news and harder work to figure this out. How are we going to get there? I'm not going to Nottingham Forest as it stands. So there's every chance there will be a Gameweek 17 deadline. But it's also Christmas party that day, and it's Friday, and I'm not sure if I can be bothered to tell you the truth. So no promises on that. The rest, there'll be deadline streams all over Christmas. I can say that though. So Boxing Day, there'll be a deadline stream. The 21st, which is the Thursday, there'll be a deadline stream. The 20, I mean it's the 30th, isn't it? There'll be a deadline stream. So to me, up till the end of the year, Game Week 17 is the only one that's questionable. All the rest there'll be deadline streams. Gavin says, also, what's your current team value? It's over 100.3, I'll tell you. I need to look. Oh, I can't because the game's updating, isn't it? Sorry. It's over 103. I know that. It's over 103. Ranked 520k roughly as it stands. Sweet Blue says posted at 10:58 about Alvarez. That's fine if that's when they got the information. I don't hold any blame against that. You know, we should be appreciative that they're trying to get the information out there. And if that's the first they heard, that's the first they heard. I don't think anyone's good people at FPL newsletter, so I don't think they're trying to stitch anyone up with that. If they're trying to stitch people up, they wouldn't do it at all. Saying Haaland and Doku start, Alvarez not, in the 11. So Alvarez sub, there you go, shit happens. The thing is with him as well, there's always a chance he doesn't get on at all, right? That can always be the way with City. I suspect he probably will though. Relic returns, Alvarez heartbreak. Sicilian FPL says best roast in order: beef, chicken, pork or lamb. So we're going to go lamb, beef, chicken, pork. Do love me a lamb, right sucker mate. People know that from my kebab habits, right? Mainly minimal. Who do you think will finish second this year? Cheers, James. Arsenal. Maybe City, Arsenal, Liverpool is the most likely top three as it stands. I think Arsenal and Liverpool are both capable of winning it. I think they're in the race at the moment, but I think that's the sensible prediction. Fighter Jets, we've got it. Cheers. Emmanuel Topo says, what will James give up for Spurs Premier League title? Chance to play for Spurs? Nah, fuck it, I'm past it, mate. It's done, it's over. Andrew Jarvis says, hello, mate. Hope you're well. Would you make any Saturday Sky fantasy transfers today or roll with what you've got? It's probably a roll with what I've got. For example, just thinking more about Ion Alvarez in Sky and just thinking more about, imagine if I sold him and then Haaland got injured today. Fuck. So it's probably better to take, that's a perfect case example where you're probably better off taking the information and looking at something for the rest of the week. So it could be that Alvarez to a Fulham Wolves player could be, after all, I end up maybe going something with that, but I don't want to. But it instantly, as soon as someone doesn't start, it instantly becomes a big problem in Sky. So I will have a little glance at a few alternatives, but I think I've already probably given you my answer, Java. MRCX is, what's your favourite World Cup you've experienced? I had this discussion last night, actually. I really enjoyed France 98. I don't know, the colour and everything seems magnified. I suppose it was my first proper World Cup that England were in, even though we didn't do that well. So France 98, I really enjoyed. I thought Germany 06 was a good tournament. Hated 2010. Sorry, they played with a beach ball. 2018, Russia was pretty good, to be honest. And to be fair, the football at the last World Cup was pretty good as well. Pat Booth says, have you got any away days upcoming with Spurs? Great stuff as usual. Yeah, probably all of them bar Forest on the Friday night. I just don't think it's going to work. But yeah, there's no trains. I am trying to still get to Manchester City next Sunday, and we're going to get hammered as well. You do think, what are you doing? But yes, Brighton I'll go to 28th of December. I might not be able to get to Old Trafford in January because it looks like the trains are a shit show for that as well. And you have to remember with City, I'd already bought the tickets and planned to go. So I might miss Old Trafford. If any FA Cup away game, I'm going, almost irrespective of who we get, as long as we get enough tickets that I can go. So yeah, trying to get to as many as I can. And I need to, right? Otherwise I'm going to lose my spot. Ian from Melbourne says, James, have you started your Christmas shopping yet for your wife? Do you prefer online nowadays or in store? We don't buy each other. We fucking hate each other. We don't buy each other anything, mate. Generally we won't do presents. It's a waste of time. I'd rather spend the money on Harry. It's just genuinely. So Francis Logan says, Brill stream, thank you very much, mate. FPL Gold Galazzo, Ferrari or Lamborghini, which one would you prefer? Lambo, not in red. With Ferrari I just think red. Sorry. Divesh says, hi James, who do you think could be a great manager currently managing Europe, but you can see them manage a Premier League team? I think the obvious answer to give at the moment is Xabi Alonso is obviously doing amazing work at Leverkusen. I can't profess to have seen a lot of them, but I think there's a few will come calling for him. Xabi Alonso, talking of Steven Gerrard replacing Jurgen Klopp when he wants to go. Let's stop laughing about this. Liverpool much better off with someone like Xabi Alonso, right? Yeah, I got it all, Fighter Jets. I got it all. Gavin Richardson says, have you ever taken your top off at a football match, Geordie style? No. Never. Not in celebration either. No, I don't understand that. I don't understand why anyone's reaction is to take their top off. So, Sweet Blues says, ever left the game early? Yeah, of course, when we've been getting battered a couple of times. Went to a playoff game for the top team in Sweden yesterday. First leg, team lost 7-0, sat through it all in the freezing cold. It's times I've sat through it, like the 7-2 against Bayern Munich. It's like, there's no way I'm leaving. I need to watch Bayern Munich and appreciate what the other team's doing. There's not been many times. Not been many. Chelsea at home, 97-98. Liverpool at home, 13-14. Are the two that stand out. Well, that was like, 10 minutes to go. Get out of here. Sicilian FPL says, have you ever been told off by your boss, Suj? Find it hard to imagine how hard you work. Yeah, he slates me all the time, mate. What you don't know is he's an aggressive bastard, Suj. No, to be honest, it's not in Suj's nature to be like that, right? We'll have disagreements sometimes, and if he has something he wants to say to me, we'll sit down and talk about it like men, right? So, no, there's never been a shouting, and to be honest, sometimes I might say things to him that I think, come on, but no, we talk about it like we're friends, really, now, aren't we? Right? So we talk about it like humans to each other. There's no shouting or having a go, or no. And it is true, right? There'd be a bit of slack. Was he gonna, James, you know, he might say to me, like, I'll go and pick up Harry early, right, a couple of days a week, right? So I'm kind of not in the office all the time. But then I'll do recordings at night. I did a deadline stream today. I'm recording with Sean and Mark for COTC tomorrow night. Now, I think everyone knows what I do in terms of the hours and stuff. So, no, there's never been... Has he ever told me off? No. Onion Heart 1 says, Alvarez award Prowse for Boomer, especially if Alvarez is benched a week earlier than intended in Sky. Boomer is... Yeah, I don't think that feels right to go this week. Nah. I was eyeing that up if Bowen had been ruled out, but probably a no. Magic Waddle FC Foden question. Well, I imagine he's starting, mate. Yeah, I get it, Fighter Jets. Yeah, it's annoying for all of us, but then, like, do you know what? It's 10:58. If it had been 11:02, none of us got any information. So, look, if I'd have known in time, then I obviously would pick Bumo to start ahead of him, right, and just flip that round. But it's no biggie, mate. Sebo Slice says Sunday roast top 5 items: lamb, beef, gammon, chicken, roast potatoes. Sounded like right Toby Carvery there, didn't I? Birth Media says, what's the highest vice captain points you've ever had as a captain sub? I don't know. I don't remember these things like a lot of people do. Like, once it's gone, it's gone. I only recall Tottenham stuff. Like, I don't really... Vice captain when I've been lucky. I feel like there was a 17-pointer for someone. I can't remember who. I feel like I got a De Bruyne once, a little bit fortuitous. Yes. That rings a bell. De Bruyne against Watford when they beat them 8-0, I think. I can't remember how many points he got. That one springs to mind, I think. I wasn't alone. There was a lot of people. I can't remember who the most popular captain was, but it was a lot ended up with that week. So that is a memory in my mind. I'll get there, Suj. Suj is watching live. I'll get there. That's gonna... for those who know me well, that's going to make people laugh. Relic Return says, do you think mainstream punditry is under threat from content creators like yourself and fan platforms who are much more balanced? No, because the loudest wins, isn't it? And to be honest, that's even happening with a lot of content creators, right? Loudest wins. Why have you not got more subscribers, James? Because we don't clickbait and we don't shout the loudest and stuff like that. And listen, there's amazing content creators out there, obviously. So it's not my style. We agreed on that a long time ago. Don't go down a clickbait route. So, no is the answer. No is the answer. You've got to remember, the average person would rather listen to someone they know than someone they don't. That's reality. Nathan Joblin says, what do we do with Alvarez in Sky Cape? Yeah, it's probably the case, Nathan. Yeah, I'd use the reference I give to imagine if Haaland got injured today. Be like, oh my God. So unlikely, right? But if Haaland got injured, your first thought would be go and get Alvarez, right? Tom Skinner says, are you a Coke or Pepsi guy? I'm definitely a Coke guy, mate. FPL Gold Galazzo, here we go. Says, what sauce you having on your kebab? You seem like a chili sauce geezer. So Suj had already screenshotted that question to me because he knows, right? Lemon and herb in Nando's is pushing the limits for me, mate. I can't do it. That's a weekend on the throne, mate. it's not. A bit of garlic sauce with a kebab or none at all. It's the honest truth. Jacob Finley says, why is the Planet FPL theme tune a remix commentary clip of a goal from Messi, a player who was never featured in FPL? Because he's the greatest player of all time, mate. Sorry. That's it. And you can ask Suj, who's in the chat. So Suj did it, and that's what it is. Plus, we're more than an FPL podcast, right? So, Salah, Ankara, Salah. Nah, shit, mate. The Messi's sticking. Suj would like to change it. I'm not having it. Suj says, best friends, love heart. Oh, cheers, boss. Pay rise time. Ben Styles says, best Alvarez replacement in Sky. I think it's Stick. It's difficult because I need to have a look at my team and have some options, but my instinct is just hold tight for the minute. That's my instinct. There is an escape route that I'm potentially eyeing up if it's going to become a problem over the next few weeks, which would be Alvarez to Romero when Tottenham play West Ham. Just sit on it at the moment. It's one less transfer used, and we get them and go, right, you're becoming a problem. Alvarez back to Romero. Cosmos says, what's your opinion on Southgate? Oh, God. Who would have a replacement assuming he leaves after Euros? I don't know why, but I've always thought Mourinho is the ideal man for the job. Oh my God. Alright, thanks everyone. It's been an amazing stream. I love you all. I'm gonna go now because I can't answer that question with a straight face. I'm gonna go, but thanks Cosmos. I hope you have a great weekend. Smash a like, hit the sub button on your way out. Suj will be back with me for the game review on Monday. I hope your arrows are green, everyone. Have a great weekend. Support the show on Patreon. Ciao for now.